Wes live on Facebook at the moment while we wait for LinkedIn to connect. If you've been with me lately, you know this is how it works. I'm here every day at noon on LinkedIn and Facebook, noon Eastern, to do Career Talk with Wes, which is a show about talking about careers from the perspective of gaining awareness so we can get what we want to get accomplished. And we do this thing every day where we wait for LinkedIn to connect, and it's connecting now. So as soon as it does, I'll announce the show to everyone. Facebook for a second time, LinkedIn for the first time. Welcome everyone to Career Talk with Wes. You're live with me if you're live with on LinkedIn and Facebook, or if you're watching on demand, it's one or the other. Welcome to the show. The show is a place to talk about all things career. It's a safe place to talk about all things career. So safe and a free place. Those are the two qualities that I like to have. I like a place where you can feel safe talking about anything that you want to talk about. All topics are on the table, having to do with career movement, career transition, career motivation. You can even bring you can bring career complaining, but we'll probably do something with it. We won't leave it at complaining. But nonetheless, the chat is open. You can speak with me through the chat from Facebook or LinkedIn. I'll be happy to address your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, critique, or complaints. And we will do all of this together. I am function every day as a career coach and consultant, and the kind of work I do is really based on awareness. I always say awareness brings change, and you can't change what you can't see. So that's the kind of work that I do in a career context. And that usually is something you'll see work out, how it works out for itself if you do any work with me. So if you have interest, you can contact me and we can have a free consultation and you'll see how that works. I have a topic for you today to talk about. I'm going to talk about motivation is the bedrock underneath. There's something more specific within motivation that I want to talk about. But since this is the third motivation topic in the last, I don't know, 5 sessions or shows, I will call it Motivation 3. And it's going to be really simple. I say that a lot, and I don't think they're going to go long, and they tend to go long. But we'll see. This one might be a brief one. Here's what I want to talk about today. It's motivation in the context of when you're looking to achieve something, whether it is you're in a job search and you're looking to find a job. You're trying to get a promotion, so you're in this quest for the promotion. You're in this quest to achieve a goal, whatever the goal is. I mean, it really doesn't need to be in the career context, but that's general context we use. But if you're looking to achieve something, then at some point you are staring in the face of the question of what does success look like? And that is thankfully a question you get to answer. I can't think of a scenario right now where you can't opt for yourself to decide what success is. It can always be laid out for you. Like if you're an NFL team, the success looks like getting to and winning the Super Bowl. But you don't have to define success that way. Each player could decide, my goal is to go out and play to my fullest ability today, not get injured. You can always define success yourself. And this is really critical, key to success is making sure you define it yourself. And it is really the main topic I'm going to talk with you about, which is, let me say it flat out. I'm going to ask you this question. Are you better off defining success in such a way that success is dependent on someone else's activity or actions? So for instance, in order for you to, if you're in a job search right now and your goal is to get a job or to get a promotion, if your goal is to get that job or get the promotion, and then you go to define success that it's the goal is if you get the promotion, let's say, then the only problem we have here initially is you've defined success in such a way that it depends on someone else. You can't get the promotion on your own. It will take someone else's ultimate action and or approval, most likely both, for you to achieve success. So again, I raise the question, are you better off basing your motivation basing your motivation on this to achieve success, right? So you're motivated to achieve success. And then are you better off defining success in such a way that it's dependent on someone else's activity or input or action? Or are you better off defining it in such a way that it's only dependent on your act, whatever your act is, whether it's whatever the act is. I mean, if it was getting the promotion, your act would be applying, right? You'd have to apply, and you'd have to, if you got an interview, you'd have to show up and perform in the interview. If you got an audition as an actor or a singer or whatever it might be, if you define success to get the part, that's dependent on someone else. If you define success to get the audition, that's dependent on someone else. If you define the success to be, I will seek out auditions and apply to get an audition to every single application I see this week, or at least 5 a day, that possibilities to make myself involved in an audition. I don't know exactly how that runs, but in other words, you seek out the opportunity for an audition. Your activity that you have control over is the seeking out part and the activity that it would take. So you could commit to the activity and make sure you saw through the activity that you have control over. Now, let's run with the audition one for a moment. Your goal ultimately, let's say, is to get a part in a play, or a spot in a band, or whatever you're auditioning for, spot in the orchestra. And in order to do that, of course, there are levels of achievement, which would be first getting an audition, most likely. And again, I named those two: getting in the orchestra, getting the audition to audition for the orchestra seat, is all dependent on other people and you. So what if we refine that to just what's dependent on you? So what is within your control, in terms of defining success by the activities you have control over, would be you seeking out the audition, and whatever that means, looking through digital ads, classifieds, making phone calls, knocking on doors, however that would take, for you to try to secure an audition, and then you committing to a certain amount of practice, let's say, or rehearsal, for you to prepare for the audition, for you to make sure you planned properly to get to the audition on time, and to commit to your best, giving all in your performance. You can't even really actually guarantee that you audition well. That you could say that's you could have that as you could define success. Let's say you define success as, I also will be successful if I audition well. Unfortunately, there are lots of factors that could get in the way of that you don't have control over. Like, what if you get sick? What if you don't have your voice or your dexterity that day because you're not feeling well, or your bus is late and you're late for it. So really, in order to do this properly, in order for you to define success in such a way that it's only dependent on you, then all the factors have to be dependent on you, which in the audition case were the seeking out the audition, doing all that you can to seek out the audition. Once you can secure it, securing it, and then living up to the commitment, showing up, as best as you can, and being ready, rehearsing and deciding how much rehearsal it takes. So what am I talking about? Where am I going with all this? The whole idea is, well, first of all, that motivation is so important for activity. It's impossible, or nearly impossible, right, to do what we need or want to do to succeed without motivation. Motivation is what gets us out of bed in the morning. Motivation is sometimes it takes motivation to eat. If, depending on the situation, motivation is extremely important, because activity that doesn't have motivation behind it, it's very much subject to not happening, or happening at a lesser factor, to a lesser degree of umph. So, so motivation's so key. So how do we keep our motivation day to day? This is where it gets really tricky, because in order to keep motivation up, there has to be a sense of accomplishment running. There, you don't want to set yourself, let's just say we go the other route and you put all of your success on, I'll consider success when I get a part in a play, or I get a seat in the orchestra, or even a fill-in spot. All of that is completely dependent on other people and what they do. So you can't experience any sense of accomplishment through all the seeking of the audition opportunities, through all the going to the auditions, through all the giving your all in an audition, all these second round callbacks where you got to audition again, and all the near misses, or near successes, all the stuff that didn't result in a win at the end, the Super Bowl victory, the getting the part, is all then thrown into the garbage as, that didn't work, it's useless. And then therefore you've given yourself zero reason to be motivated the next day. And you've also robbed yourself, I think it's a loss. You've robbed yourself of the good feelings that would have come along with saying, I set out to rehearse 5 nights, 5 nights in a row of rehearsal before the audition, and I did those. I planned 3 hours a night, and I did all that. I planned to work on this particular thing, and I did sufficiently work on it. You rob yourself of all these accomplishments by making the goal the getting the part at the end, or getting the job, or getting the promotion, whatever it is. So this is really quite simple, but I really do want to hammer it home. If you're struggling with motivation, and the idea is building that, hey, I'm not being successful, I really want to raise this question for you that says, what is success? How have you defined it? And if you say, well, I defined it where it's dependent on other people coming through, then I really want to raise the question if that's a good idea. Is that really serving you? How's that serving you? And you could say, well, how's it serving me to get 100 auditions or 100 interviews and no parts in the orchestra, or no spots in the play or the band, or no jobs? And I would say, well, it's not great that you're not going to get those things, but you didn't have control over those things. And this is a broken kind of equation to set up. You tell me if it's not. Please put that in the chat. Is it not broken to say, I'm going to only define something as success, even if I do everything I was supposed to do, but the people who are beyond me, who need to do something to make this happen, don't do their part? That I have to live with that brokenness. I have to eat that too. Meaning I have to take ownership for their miss, or what they didn't do in this part. That doesn't sound fair or smart, or certainly doesn't sound motivating. So that's the case I'm making. Make it in all cases that I can imagine, placing your definition of success on what you have control over doing is going to result in increased motivation, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride, a sense of confidence, a sense of self, a sense of self-actualization, a sense that you're doing things, which is all likely to lead to more activity, and more activity gives more possibility for more success and more confidence and more pride. And there's a feel good. A lot more feel goods are going to come from things, you watching yourself succeed day after day with things you set out to do. Success at this level is saying, success is when I do what I say I'm going to do, what I intend to do. If I intend to do something and then I do it, that's success. And now here's the part, maybe you're there saying, well, if all I have is just the stuff that I said I would do and then I do it, isn't that kind of boring? Like, In other words, that mean maybe you never win the big prize. Maybe you never get the big part or any part. Maybe you never get a spot in the orchestra. Maybe you never get that promotion. Maybe you never get that job. And when I say never, I mean till further notice, you don't get those things, and here you are prodding along to finding success as you just applying yourself, saying you're going to do something, planning it, and then doing it. That is likely to be a lot more boring, if you will, because it's much more fun to get those big prizes, but it's an illusion to think that success is other people coming through. That's called luck. That's called I don't know what to call it, but it certainly is out of your hands. It takes other people to do what they're going to do, and that's by way of their values and their preferences or lack thereof, or chance or luck or fate or whatever you want to call it. That's not success. That's not you generating something. That's you generating your part and then waiting. That's you putting your fishing line into the water with your bait on it and waiting. I mean, doing all your best job of the bait and the fish and all your fishing techniques, but that's it. Success in fishing is how well you fish, not whether you catch any fish. And it's so easy to miss this because if you look on social media, people will define success exactly the opposite, always with the prize. It's the person holding the fish up. Look at this fish I caught. Or I got the job, or I'm getting married, or I'm having a baby, or all these things that look like the achievement, the success, but really, they're not the achievement. They're not the success. The success and achievement is actually the stuff you have control over and can actually take credit for, which is, I did the work. I said I was going to do this and I did it. I define success as, take this step, take that step, complete, check the boxes, did it. You're done. After that, the fact that the house came through, the fact that the other person did their part in the marriage, so the wedding happened, the fact that the baby was created, all of these require, powers beyond yourself. So to define your success by those endpoints that are out of your control, the more you think about it, the more strange it is that we would even do it. But we do. I mean, social media, when I said that out loud, and it flooded to my mind thinking like, this is what social media essentially is in your Facebook. Sorry, Facebook, but it's social media is essentially, look at, I won the prize. This is what we go around touting and saying like, well, look at me, I won the prize. But that's not a success somebody can go and repeat. Only people can only repeat the activities that led to the possibility of getting the prize. Okay, I'll get off the soapbox for today. That's been Career Talk with Wes, Motivation 3, and talking about defining your own success. So I'm going to encourage you to define success by the actions that you take, that you say you're going to take, and leave it at that. Yeah, that's definitely going to be more boring, but in the long run, it'll be a lot more motivating and a lot more satisfying and fulfilling. So it's a show about career, all things career. If you want to work with me as a career coach and consultant and have gaining awareness as our foundation, then contact me and we'll talk more about that. The show is on every day at noon Eastern, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode or right here on demand. Once again, bye.